Good morning. Oh boy, it was a little bit of a rough night last night, let me tell you. There was a party going on till at least 4 o'clock in the morning. There was all sorts of shouting and cheering on, and it was just one of those ones where it just wasn't going to happen. It is the last day in Syria, and it's the last day of my vacation, and we're going to be going to Palmyra and then heading back to Damascus before I head back to the States. Let's go have our last amazing day in Syria. Travel, unfortunately, isn't always rainbows and unicorns. It isn't always perfect, like last night. We will be spending a great deal of time in the car today. We do make a quick stop to pay respects to the Syrian army at a highway intersection where fighting was extremely heavy and many hundreds of soldiers lost their lives.
Taking a quick break from all the driving, and we find ourselves at a point that is actually very important to Syria. This is where quite a bit of heavy fighting was done right at this intersection of Palmyra, Iraq, and Damascus, and Deir ez-Zor, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. A lot of Syrian soldiers died here, but they did win. Local guides say this is a very special place with remembrance to their war.
We drove through some harder areas to see, with evidence of past war violence still present. But before too long, we saw the ruins of Palmyra in the distance. Palmyra was another important city along the Silk Road. Many caravans stopped here, cared for by Adamic tribes. Welcome to the temple of Ajlabu, god of the sun, and Yerhabu, god of the moon. Tried to get a peek at the inside, but it's just not stable or safe to attempt. These structures were badly damaged by war.
No way to make.
Next, we will go explore the long caravan road, where 375 column structures still stand, some of them with exquisite detail.
God, look at that detail. It's incredible.
We also slowly make our way to a big arena and theater area, also amazingly intact.
This really is an incredible complex. There's so much to see here. A lot of it did get destroyed in the war, but there is a lot that is still standing, and it's really actually cool to marvel at.
There is one last place we're going to see before heading to Damascus, and that is an ancient watering hole that is still in use today. I love those vintage stairs.
Whew. I would love to jump into that water right now. It's almost 40 degrees, and it's only noon. Oh, it would feel so good to jump in there. Cool off.
Palmyra might be a long drive from the rest of the tour, but it is absolutely worth it. Make sure you swing by here when you're on your tour. From here, it's all driving till we reach Damascus.
It's the last night in Syria. We're back in Damascus after a long drive through the desert. Go get some supper, and then that's about all she wrote. Have to go to bed, have to go to Beirut tomorrow.
We did have fun wandering the souk before arriving at our spot for supper.
That is one big ass shoe. I'm really gonna miss seeing these black and white striped designs all over Damascus. It's so quintessentially Syrian, and it's one of my favorite things about this place is all the black and white stripes.
This is where we had an amazing farewell supper. Red pepper paste and olive paste. I'm not a big fan of bell pepper, but the olive paste I was in love with. It was so delicious.
Look at that. These dolmas are perfect. I mean, they put a pomegranate molasses on it. That's what I think it is, and it is so delicious on top of this. And I know I've said this a couple of different times, but this is the best baba ganoush, or mutabel as they call it here, I've ever had. It's so light. The flavor is absolutely perfect. It's not weighed down with a bunch of tahini. The eggplant is perfectly cooked. I can't think of a better, lighter, refreshing meal to have as my last meal in Syria. This is so good. Look at this. I am stuffed and can't eat anymore, and the manager is insisting that we have these sweets for dessert. They are so sweet. They are so awesome here in Syria. I'm gonna try this pistachio one because I love pistachio. And then I'll try this because it looks interesting. Looks kind of like the cheese we had in Aleppo. And then I'm done. I'm so full. Very sweet like honey, and the texture is really unique, almost like a bird's nest wrap here.
I was so stuffed that I went straight to sleep again. It's becoming a theme and a testament to how good the foods are here. My goodness, the last day has arrived. How has this happened so fast? I had such a blast in Syria. Syria really needs to be on more people's lists. There's so much that we can learn from them here. Let's go see if the border crossing into Lebanon is as smooth as it was coming into Syria. I spent a lot of time reflecting on the things that I knew were potential misconceptions with how the West might view Syria, such as life for women here. My guide explained to me that they are free to make their own choices whether or not to have children. They're free to pursue any profession they want, including being doctors and pharmacists. There is no requirement to wear a hijab or abaya, and you're not looked down upon for making choices that are otherwise considered non-traditional. Also, my guide has said she's never felt unsafe walking around the cities alone, even at night. We waited around the border for a while, but eventually had a hassle-free stamp out.
Just like that, we're out of Syria and in no man's land.
The military checkpoints were always respectful, never seeming like they wanted to pull power trips, as I've experienced in other countries, and they seemed genuinely happy to see an American visiting their country.
And Lebanon let me back into the country so we can go to the airport.
I admit, I did chicken out a couple of times coming here, but now that that's finally happened, I absolutely would come back for a deeper dive into this country. I'm hopeful that before too long, Syria will have all their evidence of war eliminated, be rebuilt, and return to the prosperous nation it once was. Thanks so much for joining me on this glimpse of what being a tourist in Syria is like, and I'll see you on my next adventure.